Good day. This is Frank Saline, founder and CEO of Third Level Consulting. Thanks for joining us today for a brief webinar. 2 points today. One is the Business Physics Success Formula by my friend Chris Rich, which we'll review just briefly as kind of an inspirational opening. And then the main subject of today, which was the acquisition, attrition rates, and retention of students based on an interview that was done through dancestudioowner.com not too long ago. So I'd like to review both of those with you. First thing I'd like to say is that in another week or two, when you tune into thirdlevelconsulting.com, you will see a brand new website. And in this brand new website, focuses on Third Level as the leader in Children's Activity Center, business development, growth, and success, and helping you take your business to the next level. There'll be at the top a best practices library login for our members, a success solutions dashboard login, and for those of you that may be listening to this webinar that are not familiar with our services, a free 30-minute business consultation where we will listen to what your objectives and needs are. Essentially, the new website will feature what we do and what's called a mega menu, which for some of you who are designing your own websites or having your websites designed, you might look at this feature because it looks at who we serve, the industries that we serve, which is a variety of industries, what our services are, what events are upcoming, and other key resource sites. So under this what we do in the mega menu, I think you'll find that highly interesting. There'll also be a meet the team, testimonials, and contact pages for us. So by that as a way of introduction, I'm going to launch right into the first section here. And this is the Biz Biz Formula for Success by my friend Chris Rich. And again, this is this document, along with the document on acquisition, attrition, and retention, the text of that I'll be scrolling through on here, will be available by links for our customers. And if you're not a customer yet or a client, then feel free to connect with us and get started. All right, so his formula for success, as you see, equals B equals, and then the brackets, this I Theo over M plus F10 plus P, and then the C2 factor as well. So this formula for business success is highly interesting, I thought. And Chris is a really unique thinker, has spoken at some of the Third Level conferences before. But the B stands for business success, and that equaling the I, which is a small idea. The I is a small idea, and then the Theo, you'll notice here, he has thinking, homepage, your web presence basically, ethics, and organization. And his comment that Theo is Greek for gods or luck, if you prefer, I thought was pretty interesting. So he's got that I, small idea, and the Theo acronym divided by M, which is divided by management. And what he's saying there is that management almost always diminishes ideas, thinking, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes we stand in our own way. And that's why tools like the Success Solutions Dashboard are so important, because we're trying to unleash our people, not just micromanage them. That's the important thing. Unleash them, not micromanage them. So that's where management, you divide it by that, and hopefully it doesn't turn out to be a negative number or a reduced number. And then he's got the plus F10, and F10 is for failure, and almost the F to the 10th power, because you are going to do some things that won't work. But if you're not afraid to fail, then you will have some occasional big winners. And finally, plus P equals the physics, the principles of business physics. And I have a presentation with 20 physics principles and how each principle intersects with marketing, people, and money. That's another whole presentation that we'll get into in one of the conferences coming up. And finally, he's got multiply at all times C squared, which is the word celeritas, which is the speed of light squared, because that's the speed of business today. Anyway, I just thought we'd open up your day with an interesting acronym there for that. I just thought it was a great formula. The other part of today's webinar has to do with student acquisition, attrition, and retention rates. And this was from a online interview with Suzanne Garrity of dancestudioowner.com, friends of mine in the dance industry. They do a terrific job too. And I'm not going to read you this entire thing because it's 16 pages long, actually. But what it does, it goes through the basics. This is the transcript from it, and there's probably some grammatical errors in here, but this is the transcript from it. And it does deal with these concepts. And one of the, I guess I've highlighted in yellow some of these for those of you that'll get the download if you're our client. They talked about the attrition rate and how many students should they be retaining. In other words, retention, of course, and attrition are two sides of the same formula. And my comment to them is that, look, let's back up first before we talk about attrition rates, retention rates, and all that. All that stuff has to do with marketing. And it starts off with that. And all business is pretty simple when you boil it all down. There's marketing to attract people in. There is hiring happy people to take care of your other clients, your other people, the customers, the parents, the children. And number three is money. You have to know those things. And I guess the premise that I had here was that very few of us have marketing degrees or HR degrees or finance degrees. I certainly have none of the above, nor do I have an MBA or anything along that line. So when we start to put this stuff together, we've always got to ask ourselves, is marketing an investment or an expense? Obviously, it needs to be an investment. So back to this attrition rate. When we start talking about attrition, it's anywhere from 20 to 50%. Now, that's a huge range, what we found in our research, dealing with clients, associations, etc. 20 to 50% is a huge range for attrition. And you'd say, well, 24%, something like that, that's only 2% a month or so. Okay, well, the businesses themselves, our businesses, get better and better and better. Obviously, the higher our retention rates are. It's far less expensive to retain a client than it is to acquire one. If you looked at all your costs of marketing and all the new students that came in for the year, you'd probably be horrified to see the dollar per new student that you're actually spending. On the other hand, we don't think about spending anywhere near that kind of money on people that are in, assuming that the quality that we have inside our four walls is going to keep them. And that would be a function of facility, customer service, staff and staff education, your cultural cornerstones, the enthusiasm and excitement in your facility, no matter how old the business is. So these retention or attrition rates are highly flexible. There is no normal one. But if you were turning over just 1% a month, 12% a year, or 1.5%, 18% a year, that's probably pretty good. It does depend on your business model as well and the marketing acumen of the owners. Your business model, if you're set up with a children's activity center model, sports, education, entertainment, perhaps you've got more programs. Perhaps your families are retained longer, even though they're going back and forth with different programs. Swimming has positioned itself really well as a need, not a want in the customer's mind in terms of drowning prevention and tools for children to stay safe around water. So that's very, very good. They probably have a higher retention rate as well. But it still boils down to marketing. And what I try to let people know in our work and our consultants let them know too is that for customer acquisition, let's just start back there again since we're focusing on that. Customer acquisition is an 8-step process or a 12-step process, depending on how you count it. So running these marketing steps from having a marketing team, knowing your product, designing the experience, controlling your word of mouth and your referrals, being out there in the public, having a great online presence, and having an organized marketing plan and measuring the effect of that marketing plan, the ROI, is critical for acquisition. That's how you effectively acquire people. In terms of retention and attrition, again, my premise is that you have to go back to how you got them in there in the first place. So look at those steps and examine them closely. I'm just scrolling down here for some of the things that are highlighted. You'll get this as this transcript. But I do want to point out two things. In marketing, one, internal marketing is retention. External marketing is acquisition. So we've got acquisition through our external marketing. Those are those 8 to 12 steps on that chart. We have internal marketing to retain. And if you do retain well, then your attrition rate, obviously, by extension, is a lot lower. So that's all I'm really trying to present on here. This is a 16-page transcript of which I have certain things highlighted. I think you will be fascinated by it. There's sections in here on determining your market share and how many people should you have from your market share. And actually, there's a little formula that walks right through that. and you can really get your own demographics or use ours if you're a client of ours, and you can determine that. Mainly, all of it is about getting children into your facility. And that's basically the entire thing. So again, the business physics principles were one thing that we looked at today, that formula. I thought that was fun. The student acquisition, attrition, and retention, you'll get this entire 16-page document on the download. And last of all, but not least, be looking for this new website, which is just phenomenal, coming up here in just a couple of weeks. We'll draw your attention to it. I think you'll be able to spend a lot of time on the mega menu, exploring exactly how we can help you, especially with the third level memberships. If you're a member now, you might look at upgrading your membership or looking at some of the other services that we provide that you might not have known. So thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you being here. Take good care, and we'll see you on the road to success.